Today we're diving into something called the RAFT program. Now, think of it as a guide for navigating, well, life's challenges. The core idea is that we can build ourselves a kind of mental raft, one that helps us get from where we are to a place we'd rather be. So where do we even begin?
Well, it all starts with a really simple question. Have you ever had that feeling that you're just on autopilot, kind of going through the motions, reacting to things the same way over and over, maybe even stuck in habits you really wish you could shake? That feeling, that's what the program calls the dangerous shore, and it's our starting point.
And this is where the program's core metaphor comes in, and it's a great one. It frames our life as this journey. We start on that dangerous shore, that place of automatic reactions and old habits, and the goal is to navigate to a safe shore of real freedom. And the boat for this journey? That's our raft. And RAFT is actually an acronym. It stands for Recognize What's Going On, Abandon the Habits That Aren't Helping, Experience the Freedom That Comes From That, and then train your mind to stay on that new, better course.
Okay, so to pilot this raft successfully, we need a very particular skill. A lot of us have heard about mindfulness, right? Just being aware. But the RAFT program introduces a concept that takes it a step further. It's about turning that simple awareness into a kind of practical, targeted wisdom.
So let's break this down, because this is really the key. Standard mindfulness, you could say, is about knowing what you're doing, right as you're doing it. But clear comprehension, that's a whole other level. It's about also knowing why you're doing it, how you're approaching it, and maybe most importantly, if it's even the right thing to be doing right now. You know, it's the difference between just noticing that you're rowing and actually knowing if you're rowing towards the shore you want to reach.
There's this quote from the teacher Ajahn Sukito that just nails it. He says, "Clear comprehension means you know what you are doing, why you are doing it, and whether it is worth doing." You see the difference? This isn't just passively watching yourself. It's actively, intelligently engaging with your own life.
So, going back to our raft metaphor, clear comprehension is our navigation system. It's the captain's intelligence. It helps us check our purpose, our why, and the suitability of what we're doing. And it helps us see everything clearly, without that fog of confusion that our old habits can create.
All right, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually use this skill? Well, the RAFT program breaks it down into a really practical toolkit. Think of these as the 4 essential dials on your raft's dashboard. The questions you need to ask yourself to make sure you're staying on course.
So here's your toolkit. It's really just 4 simple but pretty profound questions you can ask in basically any situation. First, purpose. You ask, why am I doing this? What's my real intention here? Second, suitability. Is this action actually helpful right now, for this moment, or is it just that old habit kicking in? Third, mindful presence. Am I really here, right now, grounded and aware, or is my head somewhere else entirely? And finally, number 4, being unconfused. Am I seeing this situation for what it actually is, or am I looking at it through a lens of my own biases and old stories? Just asking yourself these questions, that is clear comprehension in action. You know, to really see how this journey works, there's a fantastic story. It's a poem by a woman named Portia Nelson, and it's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. It perfectly, and I mean perfectly, captures this whole process of getting free from a pattern that keeps tripping us up. Okay, so chapter 1, this is total autopilot mode. We're walking along and boom, we fall right into the same old trap. We feel lost, helpless, like a victim. It's that feeling of, how did this happen to me again? And we're convinced it's not our fault. Sound familiar? Then comes chapter 2. We walk down that same street, and this time we kind of know the hole is there, but we pretend not to see it. And surprise, we fall in again. There's a tiny bit of awareness here, but it's buried under a mountain of denial. We're still blaming the hole, not our choice to ignore it. Now, chapter 3. This is the pivot. This is huge. This is where real awareness starts to kick in. We see the hole, we know the pattern. And yeah, we still fall in. Habits are powerful things, but look at the massive shift here. We take responsibility. It is my fault. And because of that awareness, we don't just sit there. We get out right away. And chapter 4 is where clear comprehension really takes the wheel. We don't just see the hole, we apply wisdom. We've asked ourselves those questions. Is it suitable to walk this way? What's my purpose? We make a new, skillful choice. We walk around it. The habit no longer has control. And finally, chapter 5. This is it. This is real freedom.
We're not even fighting the old battle anymore. We've totally changed our approach. That old street with its big, deep hole, it's not even on our map anymore. We have successfully reached the safe shore.
So that journey in the poem, from falling in the hole over and over to finally choosing a different street, it's not just a nice story. It's a roadmap for how real change happens. And clear comprehension? That's the tool that lets us actually read that map and use it.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we go from just knowing we keep falling into the hole to actually finally choosing a different street altogether? The answer lies in consciously using that navigational toolkit we talked about. When you use clear comprehension, you're hitting the pause button on that autopilot. By asking those 4 questions, you create just enough space to look at an urge without judging it, instead of just mindlessly reacting to it. And every single time you do that, you're literally weakening the old wiring in your brain. You're giving yourself the power to consciously choose a different response, to walk around that hole, and eventually to find a completely new street. It's the practical, step-by-step way we move from being stuck to being free. Look, this framework gives us a really practical way forward, and you can explore it in way more detail for yourself. The Raft to Freedom workbook was written by Dr. Catherine Jacob and Vince Cullen, and they've very generously made it available for free online for anyone to use. You can find it at rafttofreedom.org. It's a really powerful guide for anyone who's ready to stop falling in that hole and start navigating their own journey to a safer shore.